The second book I read this year is The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. He also wrote Fahrenheit 451. So that's who that is. I listened to the audiobook. I don't have the physical copy of it. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. General concept is that there is a carnival man who gets tattooed by like a witch. Tattoos his whole body, and his tattoos move, and they like play out stories on his skin. And the problem is that some of those stories are the future, and they do happen, and they're not nice futures. So it's like a curse. And the story itself is like you are a self-insert character who meets the illustrated man, and he tells you about his like affliction, and then he's like, okay, so like don't stare at me too long because then you'll get sucked into the stories, and then you'll see something from the future that you won't like because that's what happens to everyone. But of course you look, and so then the meat of the book is actually like individual short stories that are scenes that you're seeing play out on this man's back and like front and side. And one of the biggest ones is that there is a story that is, I guess, technically the first idea of VR that was like published. And it was kind of like, I believe it's called the holodeck on Star Trek, where it's like a room that generates a different room. Like, so it's a kid's nursery, and they have it generate whatever fantasy they want. So it could be a jungle, or it could be a castle, or it could be like whatever. It like makes that virtual reality that they can go into and interact with. And that story was interesting because they made Africa and had lions eat their parents because their parents tried to take the room away from them. A lot of the stories aren't happy, and that's okay. Another one in there is called Kaleidoscope, and that's one of his, I guess, more famous ones, which is just about people who are out in space who are all dying, and they're like falling away from each other. Some are falling into space, some are falling into stars, and then one guy falls into the earth, but they're all dying and like saying goodbye. It's very sad. But there's a lot of stories, they're all like space themed, basically. It's cool. And then at the end of the book, you're like back into like your self-insert character, because he saw the future finally after